Thank you so much for the chance to join you. Back at Oxford, I was here 3 decades ago when we were having debates about identity, race, our hopes for the future, our anxieties about the future, and we do it again about this flag. It's just a piece of cloth. John Agard's poem starts, my daughter, year 9, they were writing about the flags and what it meant. It's just a piece of cloth. It's just a piece of cloth that brings a nation to its knees, is how the poem continues. We've heard tonight why this is important, this debate about what we decide that this piece of cloth means. But in my house, in the Katwala household, we didn't just wear the scarf and have the flag. We had face paint on, me and my daughters, in July, because the Lionesses were playing the European final again. And when my daughter was 10, we went to Southampton, we went to Brighton, we were in the top tier of the top stand at Wembley when the Lionesses won the European trophy. And you just could not imagine a more inclusive, a more welcoming patriotism than that which was represented by the Lionesses that day. And it was a surprise to me to take my 10-year-old and see that, because when I was 11 and I was 14, we didn't think that football was the place we would go and get an inclusive patriotism. We read the English football. I was an Everton supporter, and when Liverpool signed John Barnes, the great England supporter, the fans of my team, they were throwing bananas at John Barnes, the black English legendary footballer. So football, when I was that age, introduced me to an overt racism and an anti-racism that decided to bring about change. And I wouldn't have gone to watch the England team at home or abroad when I was that age, but later I could. And so when I was in my 20s, and you're right, in 1966 it was the flag of the Union flag that flew at Wembley Stadium. In 1996, it was the St. George's flag. We were hosting the tournament. We had a new anthem, 3 lines. It wasn't that we would win the tournament, but it was a much more inclusive moment. And so I felt more confident about England because we changed the meaning. We didn't change the flag, but we changed the meaning. So these meanings all depended. But the face paint on our face in our household, that was different to the graffiti on the road sign in our town, with the same symbol but a different meaning. And so who this symbol is for, what we're saying, it is contested, and we need to be part of that contest. And I live in Dartford in Kent, and we had brilliant triangular St. George's bunting in the high street. My friend Govinda runs a St. George's Day parade, and if you were to come to Dartford on St. George's Day, Cohesion Plus, older Dartford is quite a white place. The primary schools, the secondary schools are very diverse. We have a dragon and St. George on stilts. We have the primary school children of Dartford and their parents. And so we are marking England's National Day, and everybody is invited to the party. And there are Asian drummers at the back, and and you can see an idea of England that we would like to share. And that is different. That is different to the lamppost. So I don't agree with my friend Patrick about the lampposts. It feels a bit sad to me that people feel as unheard to do that. And the lamppost, so I put the flag in my car windows till we go out on penalties, and I take them down again. Hand out the flag and fly it on your house, and fly whichever flag, fly a Ukrainian flag, fly a Palestinian flag if you want, but of course fly a British flag or an English flag if that's what you want. But the flags on the lampposts, and they only get halfway up the lampposts because it's too high, so they feel a bit sad and they're a bit half-mast, and it rains and they look miserable. But conscripting the lampposts, not the cars in the house, that feels like Belfast, not Birmingham to me. That feels like saying this is our territory and this is your territory. So the flags are being contested, and so it's inclusion and pride and celebration and joy for the Lionesses. It's anger. It is anger and being unheard. And so do we then say, I will in a moment. Do we then say, so the answer is we won't be flying that flag again in our country, that flag belongs to those people? We do not say that, and why do we not say that? We've talked about 2 flags tonight, the Union flag and the English flag. And Simon, you talked very movingly about the racism. you're a bit older than I am, the violence and racism that was there. It was getting a little bit less violent, but it was still very racist, and it was there. But, you know, there's a myth actually about the flags, because for most of my lifetime, the flag that the far right was using most of the time was the Union flag, the National Front, the Union flag, the British National Party, the Union flag. And there are still on the lamppost the Union flag and the St. George's flag. And why do we not feel as threatened by the Union flag, the flag of our state? Because we changed the meaning. We changed the meaning of it. And we, no thank you, I'll come back. And so I will say very confidently, and we will all say, if you're flying that flag to intimidate minorities, you do not know the history of your country, you do not know the history of flag. Of course, we're proud to have won the world wars, but do we know, and of course we should know, and some people know and some people don't, the armies that won the world wars are as diverse as the Britain of 2025 and 2026, not the Britain of 1914 and 1940. That's what the poppy represents. You can choose to wear it or not wear it. And so we changed the meaning of a flag. It was the flag of an empire, and now it's the flag of a multi-ethnic, a multi-faith society. And the English flag can go on the same journey, and it already has. And I do not accept that a toxic, racist minority of people are going to own our flag when it can mean what we choose it to mean, and we must come together and decide how to fly it together. And that is what we need to do. I never wanted to reclaim flags, because I never accepted that the National Front or the British National Party or the English Defence League, once they were using the English flag, a minority of an extreme view in our society, owned our flags. It is up to us who owns our flags. There's been some cherry picking, frankly, of data, some true points about data, and you've left out many other points about the data. Who can be English in our country? Is Rishi Sunak English? He thinks he's English. I think he's English. So Ella Braverman doesn't think she's English. That's up to her. She doesn't think Rishi Sunak's English. That's nonsense. That's rubbish. Who was English was changed. I think the black English are more familiar to people than the Asian English, because it's 50 years ago when we hosted Euro 28 that Viv Anderson wore the three lions of our country, and it was difficult for his generation. Cyril Regis received bullets in the post from the National Front saying, do not go onto the turf. And he went onto the turf and he represented his country. And by the time Paul Ince was representing our country, nobody asked whether he could be English or they were English. We've had over 100 black players who've played for England. We've had Asian cricketers playing for England as well. We will have Asian footballers. But they changed what it meant to be English, who could be English. 9 out of 10 white people in this country think ethnic minorities are English, because in cities that are majority non-white, London, Manchester, Birmingham, they would think you were mad if you asked them, is Marcus Rashford English? Is Jude Bellingham English? Is Saka English? Whether the penalty goes in or the penalty doesn't go in, and sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. This is who we are, and the English, there's a common sense Englishness that we're aware of during our football summers of who is English. Now, it's still work in progress, because actually only 2/3 of minorities think that about being English, and a quarter of minorities aren't sure, because the 1/10 of the majority population that reject them are so visible, so vocal, online, in the streets, and so on, that we're still not sure. So we need to do the work to do it together. England has no state. It has no government. It'll be one of the few countries at the World Cup to have no government and no state. And so it has few institutions that do it. The Union flag, we fly it solemnly for remembrance. We use it in pop culture and so on. We use the England flag well, and the evidence is very clear that most minorities think this, most white people think this. It represents an inclusive, multi-ethnic England in London, in the cities and towns and villages. When there's a football tournament on, people aspire to having that view of England, most of us, most of the time. So we have to do this. So here is our challenge. It is a flag of pride and inclusion. It is a flag of grievance. It is a flag of unheardness. It can be a flag of division and anger. It is the flag that we decide it to be. It's the Oxford Union. We have a binary tradition. We will divide the House tonight, and you will vote one way or the other on whether or not the versions of division, the versions of inclusion, when all of these stories are true, which one you want to vote for. I don't mind which way you actually vote in the debate, because the more important thing than dividing the House is uniting the country. And you can't unite the country by saying, because some people fly the flag divisively, this flag cannot be flying. We will mark St. Patrick's Day with Guinness. We will celebrate Ukraine against Putin with their flag. You can protest Palestine, but the flags we can't have are our flags. No, we will unite England when we show what this flag can mean if we decide to do it. We can unite. Prejudice could never unite England. Pride in what it means to be English, our language, our literature, our comedy, our countryside, our education, our universities, the contributions of the minorities, the contributions of the majority, the Lionesses, the Three Lions, the rugby team, the cricket team. Pride, not prejudice, can unite England. This is what belongs to us all. Are we going to say the only people who can own our flag are people we fear, people who are toxic? We need pride, not prejudice. Vote whichever way you decide, but let's unite and fly the flag together.